This is the KoperCrabb Podcast.
I am Cheney Crab.
I am Navene Copperweiss.
If you would like to grab a KoperCrabb Podcast merch, then go to KoperCrabb.bigcartel.com. If you do not know, Navene and I are in a band. It is called Entheos, and if you would like to buy Entheos merch, you can find it at www.entheosstore.com. Last week, we put all of our leftover tour merch in the Entheos merch store. A lot of you found out about it on Discord. We launched it on Friday. I've decided to not announce it on the band page until sometime this week because you guys...
We're giving you guys early access.
You guys have been grabbing a lot of stuff. I want to give you access just in case any of you want to get something. There are a couple of shirts that are pretty close to running out. We've got tour date shirts up there. It's all pretty sick merch. I am happy with our merch spread from this last tour. I think we did a good job. I would like to pat us both on the back.
I think we did. I think we nailed it.
Navene came up with our best seller of the tour, the pink hoodie.
Yeah, seriously. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
So yeah, if you want to grab any of that stuff, it's up in the merch store right now. We're also going to be dropping a super sick bag in the near future. I think that we're probably going to do it in the next 2 weeks or so.
Should we show the bag at some point? Maybe next week.
We'll show the bag next week. But I can assure you it's like one of the coolest bags that I've ever seen a band make. It's basically a replica of another bag. I don't want to say one.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just a really sick bag. I'm excited to show you guys. I don't think that matters, but who knows? I'm just gonna. Anyways, so I hope you all have been having a good week. If you did not tune in to the podcast last week, you can still check it out on YouTube and Spotify. And if you don't know, we're on Twitch on Tuesdays. Over the summer, it's at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We hang out live on Twitch. We do the podcast live on Twitch. You can come and hang for the pre-show and the post-show, which we do not put on YouTube or Spotify. We kind of hang out with everyone and listen to music or just talk about whatever. So come and hang out with us on Twitch. But yeah, if you did not listen to the podcast last week, then you missed us talking about the first half of our European tour with Archspire and Psycroptic and Benighted, which honestly it seems like so long ago because we did an entire entire US tour after like 10 days after we got back from Europe.
Yeah.
But we're kind of going through date by date and just talking about each day. Kind of a like audio journal of sorts. So where did we leave off last week?
I believe we left off in Spain, Barcelona.
Oh, wait, we kind of talked about this because we had to go and trade in all of our money because we had a bunch of different currencies of money. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can only pay for the bus with euros. We had to go trade everything in for euros, but we kind of got to go see the city and I talked about my sweatpants. How I got like my new favorite pair of pants from Bershka.
Dressy cargo.
That's right.
Pants.
That's right. Cheney Crab 2023.
That's right. And then so we haven't done the podcast in a while, and that's why we were kind of going over these dates to tell you guys what we've been up to. Making excuses basically for not doing the podcast. What we were doing on that long break, if you will. So the next day after Spain would be France, Montpellier. And this is the day that...
Oh, wait, we talked about this too. That's the day that Benighted brought all the cheeses. One of their girlfriends brought us a bunch of cheeses.
I think that was Lyon.
Oh, wait. Well, then where was Montpellier?
So Montpellier was the show that we played where you buy the merch and the bars were all outside. And the venue was a really small venue, which was indoors.
Right.
But you didn't have to go in there to buy a drink or to buy merch or anything. So when we played, they were taking a long time to get people in to the venue,
Right.
like the security.
Mm-hmm.
And we played only a half hour after doors.
Right.
So we played while everybody was still kind of coming in, and they were getting whatever. They wanted to get a beer. They wanted to hang out a little bit. So we played to very few people that day.
Yeah, there were very few people watching us that day. Well, because, just the setup of it was strange. And I think that you also had to stand in line and get a coin, and then and you had to trade your money in for a coin for drinks, and then you had to stand in an entirely different line to actually get your drinks. So it was taking a long time for people to get inside in the first place, and then to get a coin, and then to get a drink. And you didn't have to go inside. Yep. So, we didn't play in front of very many people.
And this is actually something that is kind of a cool point that a lot of people might not know about, and that is when you are first on a tour, hopefully the tour is cool and they give you an hour before, when the doors open till when you play. And on this tour, I think it was mainly a half hour.
Some days it was 15 minutes.
Really?
Some days it was very quick when we played in Europe. But on the U.S. tour that we just did, we were first as well. But there was always an hour in between doors and us playing. So it didn't really compromise.
And I will say on the rest of the
our set.
Dates in Europe, it wasn't really a problem.
No.
It was just this one day we got hit with, that perfect storm of just getting screwed, basically.
Yeah, that was the rest of the tour was so good that it was kind of whatever. But, that is the type of thing that can really wear you down if you're doing it every single day and the tour's not doing well.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to a show,
try to get there early.
Try and get there early to see the first band.
Honestly, after doing these 2 tours and playing first, Chaney and I now, we are going to try to get to shows earlier.
Absolutely. We even did this the other day when we saw Converge. Yeah. We got there early to see Frail Body because we were like, that was just us. Yep. That was us, and, you can kind of, it's easy to not want to get there until the headlining band or the band that you want to see. And no one really knows when shows start because it's kind of unclear. Like, I think that
sometimes it'll be different on Facebook. Facebook's one thing and the ticket's another.
Right. Kind of or people won't understand like the order in which bands are listed. Because that happened to us a few times too, where it was like they list it Entheos, Signs of the Swarm, Archspire, Whitechapel, and they mistake it they mistake it as us playing later in the night. Whatever. Stuff happens and people so kind of assume that the first band is going to probably play within a half an hour's of doors.
Yep. Well, I think usually it'll say doors at this time, show at this time.
Maybe it's just not as common. I think in Europe they tend to. There were a few shows where like the thing that they would put online just wasn't the same as what would happen in real life.
Yeah. And then I'm looking at this flyer right now. This Archspire flyer from Europe. And it's got Entheos, you can clearly see that we're first, but then Psycroptic and Benighted, they're like side by side. So it's not totally clear who's direct support.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out.
So, and then who knows what it's advertised on the venue's website. Yeah. So honestly, I feel like shows these days, they're pretty well run.
Totally.
In my experience.
Totally.
And the whole thing doesn't even take that long anyway. So just get there early and watch all the bands.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I have actually been thinking about that. I feel like it's becoming more prominent for bands to just go on tour with 3 or 4 bands. Tour packages used to be 6, 7 bands. 6. Pushing it. It would be like 6 bands. It would be like 5 or 6 bands and then 3 open locals. But I feel like that's not happening as much anymore. Yeah. And set times, it's only like a 30-minute set for each opening band. So
yeah. So yeah, I think for now on when we go to shows, we're gonna try to get there early.
Yeah.
and watch all the bands. If Chaney can get ready.
If I can get ready in time.
Okay, so that was pretty much the wrap on that France show. Then we went to Switzerland. And that's that really cool club.
Hey, but before we go to Switzerland, we should say shout out to the people who were in there when we played that night.
Yeah, because there were
some people.
And there was a bunch of people who came up to us at merch and talked to us and saying that they were fans and that type of stuff. So yeah, it wasn't like we played to like 2 people. It was still a pretty good show.
Yeah, it was just less populated.
We're just being little whiners. That's what's going on here.
You gotta whine sometimes, right?
Yeah, especially when you're in France. But
I just got it.
Terrible. Okay, so then we went to Switzerland, and this venue is called KIF.
Oh, KIF is the best.
Yeah, KIF is really cool.
I love playing KIF.
What can we say about it?
Okay, so KIF, they first of all cook an amazing like home cooked meal.
They have like a whole dining hall, basically.
Yeah.
And everyone who works there and all the bands, they're all eating together. And it's really pleasant.
It's very pleasant.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's in like the basement room, which the last time that we played there, that was the room that we played in. So we ate in that room and then played in the room. This time we ate in that room and we played the room that was on the second floor. And the show was great. But after the show, there was like a goth rave downstairs.
Yeah, I didn't go though.
I went.
You did go?
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
It was super goth, right?
It was like super goth. I didn't hang for very long, but it was cool to be in there. The music was sick.
Yeah.
It was very like, I remember like a goth guy coming up to us after the show, and he was the nicest. It was a weird juxtaposition.
So, there was kind of like an empty lot that had like some sparse twigs and sticks, and it was night, and it was a little foggy, and this like totally goth guy like comes walking through all that. That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
And it looked so menacing. You know, he's like he kind of looked black metal almost. And then it turns out he like was super nice.
He was
like,
the nicest guy ever. Yeah, it was like, whoa.
It didn't make sense. Yeah, it was really funny.
The staff at KIF is amazing. I don't know. I've never had a bad experience there. I played drums that day too.
Yeah, the backstage is really nice. There's
a beer tap in
the backstage. There's a beer tap in the backstage. Yeah, so that's kind of
give you an
idea.
In the old podcasts, I had this postcard on our shelves that had a black cat on them. It was a yellow card with a black cat. And I got that from KIF because KIF like makes postcards, and every time I go, I ask if I can take some, and I took some this time as well.
So also another fun fact is they're knocking it down.
They are. Yeah, we found out.
We go on and on about how great this venue is, right? But in Switzerland, they fund venues there, and according to them, the venue's whack. And they're going to knock it down.
Yeah, I was like flabbergasted by that.
Yeah, they're knocking it down and building a whole new one.
This is the nicest venue in America.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they're building a new one a couple miles away. And they're trying to copy the venue that we were talking about last week that was so nice. And it was the second show that we played.
That was the Netherlands.
Yes.
Nijmegen.
That was breaking news.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, then we headed on over to Italy, Milan.
Oh, that was a good show. Nico was at the show.
That's right.
Nico Santoro was at the show. He came and hung out. He's in, how do you say Nico's Lilac? Lilac. He was in The Faceless. He was in Suicidal Tendencies. He's in Darkest Hour right now.
Yeah.
Sick guitar player.
Yeah. Sick dude. He came out to the show. He was there.
That was just an awesome show. I remember the people of Milan going off.
Yeah. I think Italians are less reserved.
Super.
They're down to have a good time.
Yeah, because there are certain places in Europe where people are a little more reserved.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like to us, we consider them to be reserved.
Right.
Because we're like wild Americans.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and I think it's just a different vibe.
Yeah, it's just it's just like a thing that
that's just their culture. They go to the show. They
that's what I was
watch
looking for. It's their culture.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a cultural difference.
They're not like having a beer helmet.
But I actually enjoy that. I enjoy that crowds are a little different everywhere because I think that it gives you the ability to learn how to play in front of a bunch of different kinds of crowds.
That's really true.
Because the reality is that like every single crowd you play, your hometown crowd might go off for your band and like the entire place is a mosh pit and it's crazy. And then you go somewhere else and that's just not how people react to music, but it doesn't mean that they don't like it. They just observe it in a different way and they're having a similar reaction. It's just in a different way, a more reserved way. And I think that it's fun to play in front of different kinds of crowds because it teaches you how to be comfortable playing in front of all different kinds of crowds.
That's really true. And then, I mean, especially for you, because for me, I'm just kind of playing the same no matter what. I guess there's a little more headbanging if I'm into it more. Mm-hmm. But for you and vocalists in general, they thrive off of that crowd reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, to from what I can tell.
Yeah.
So I think as a vocalist or a front person, it's going to teach you so much more about playing in front of different audiences. And that kind of goes with touring here too.
Absolutely.
You know, the crowd's different every night and just touring in general. I think a lot of people, I mean, these days, a lot of bands are internet based or they don't really play live that much because you can build your band without going on tour.
Yeah.
But you become a totally different type of musician when you've played hundreds of shows.
Totally. It's a different thing because there is, I think that for some people, it can be super uncomfortable to play in front of people, period.
Or people that don't like your band or haven't heard it.
Oh, right. Because sometimes you will be on stage. We might have talked about this in the last episode, but sometimes you'll be on stage and there will be one person in the crowd who you can tell hates your band.
Yeah. Or multiple people.
Yeah. And they'll stand there like stone-faced. They don't give a fuck about your band. And you have to like be comfortable playing to people like that. Yeah. And it's something that it's built up over time. And I think, it's like what Navene is saying. Before the internet, you had to play shows all the time. That's where you were really cutting your teeth. And still, I think it's really important to play shows. It's a different monster. Yeah. Like building your band as a live band is much different than being an internet-based band.
100%.
And it's even beyond like the playing to crowds. It's like it's the chemistry within a band. I think there's something to be said for a band who works well in a live environment. I really love a good live band.
Yep. And just being able to react to problems or things that come up when you're doing it live. And I think I hope that continues to be as popular as it is now because there's nothing like it.
Oh, yeah.
Even though bands can form and grow their band without going on tour, I definitely recommend. It seems like it's still pretty much the goal to go on tour. A lot of bands want to do that.
I think so, yeah. I mean, what's cool about the internet is that for those people who do not ever want to play live, and there are a ton of people like that. I have friends like that. They want to be musicians, but they have no desire to go on tour. They have no desire to ever play a show. So the internet is very cool for people like that who I think it's given, I mean, it's not even I think, it's that it's obviously given the opportunity for musicians to build themselves in different ways and to be different kinds of musicians. Yeah. But if you want to be like a live touring band, I think that it really is important to play shows.
And it'll just make you better at actually playing your instrument.
Absolutely.
I mean, it made me a totally different type of drummer. once I went on tour and I was playing shows every night.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
nothing like it.
Playing live is a different monster for a vocalist as well. It's like there are aspects of doing vocals that you just do not think about if you're strictly recording. For instance, you know, if you switch in between voices a lot, or you're punching in a million times, it's a whole different monster to get all of that stuff down and to be able to do it in a live environment while like exerting energy and not always, you know, you have to learn how to breathe, and there are just so many different things about it. Not lose your voice. Yeah, it's a different monster. So
yeah, like whereas on recording or doing it piece by piece,
it's way
you don't
easier.
have to be able to string it all together just yet.
Not at all. I actually heard this on a comedy podcast the other day, and it's interesting because comedians have to go out and actually, like, people see all of the stuff that musicians get to hide. We get to hide how many times we totally blew it in the studio. There are ways to hide that. What you really hear when you hear a finished song is like our
version of what we want you to hear.
Yeah, it's what we want you to hear. We were able to manipulate that to make it what we want you to hear. And playing it live is kind of a, you know, that's going out and really cutting your teeth with the material. Enough of that tangent. What was the next day?
So the next day was Munich. And that's also a really cool venue. And it's called Backstage. It's the one that's got a lot of plants and trees everywhere. And it's multiple buildings. The dining venue building was in another building, and it can be confusing. It's maze-like. I kind of you're not. Are you plugged into there? Your HDMI.
No,
okay. Damn. Do it next week. I was gonna say you should pull up a picture of this venue. It's kind of cool looking.
Oh yeah, that venue is amazing.
Yeah.
The show is really good that night. What was also cool about that venue is that the sound booth was on this what would you call that? It was like an overhead railing.
Yeah, it's like a little bridge, like a bridge.
Yeah.
In the venue, and it's up high, and it connects the two backstage areas.
Right.
And so we could actually stand up there and watch the show.
Yeah,
which
that was
really cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
I watched like everyone's set that night.
Yeah, it was really fun.
In that area. I wonder how that affects the sound though.
Apparently, it doesn't sound as good up there because you don't have as much low end.
Right.
So it doesn't sound as good up there, but whatever.
Really cool venue though, nonetheless. The catering that day was great.
Also really good catering.
I remember having a lot of fun that day. We hung out. We had like a bit of an after party that night.
A little bro down.
Yeah, we hung out in the parking lot for a long time that night and drank some whiskey and just hung out, everyone on the tour.
Yeah, so on tours like the Europe tour, they'll give you what's known as a bus call every night.
Yes.
And that's just like what time you got to be in the bus. That's when it's leaving. And they don't check to see if everybody's in there. It's just at that time, the bus fires up and it leaves.
Yeah. So the bus driver is waking up and they're leaving. So you better be on the bus.
So if you're not on it, you're getting ditched.
Yeah, you're screwed.
That's that.
And then you have to get a train ticket and figure out how the hell to get to the show the next day. So
which has happened. Not to any of us, but it has happened.
It did not happen on that tour either.
But that night it was late. It was a late call, and there wasn't really much to do around there. And yeah, everyone was just like hanging out in the parking lot.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And we were saying how cool it would be to have like a bonfire, like in a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have the means
did not
to
have
do
that because it was freezing.
It would have been the whole time. I was like, man, a bonfire would be sick right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like appropriate to call it a bonfire.
I don't either. I don't either.
But everybody knows it, like from a 90s movie.
Yeah,
in
it's
Chicago.
a good old fashioned barrel fire.
Yeah, there we go. That's the updated version.
Yes.
So that was a good show, fun day. Next day was Austria in Vienna at the Arena. Let me look that up.
Arena.
Gotta jog my memory. Arena venue. Oh, okay.
Oh, Vienna? We also had a hangout session that night too.
We did.
Vienna.
So this one is also really cool. It's like a really old looking brick building, and there's like graffiti all over it. And then they also have right next to that, it's another complex. Like most of the venues in Europe are like these complexes, and when you first show up, you don't know where to go. It takes a while to
figure it out.
Like, where's the venue?
Yeah.
Or where's the one we're playing, rather.
True. Well, this day I remember that I got to do laundry, and where the laundry was like a half a mile from the backstage.
Yeah, so they also had an outdoor venue right next to it, and then there was also this like brick kind of tower thing coming off the venue. It's really cool.
Do you remember going to get coffee a few blocks away that day? We went with Andrew and Miles, and we got a bunch of coffee at a restaurant.
Yeah, and Veil of Maya was playing that night at another venue.
Right, with I think Avatar maybe.
Yeah, we were talking, but we didn't actually end up meeting up. And that was also the day that I saw the swirl. I saw this flyer with like swirling eyeballs coming out of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, Cheney, come here, dude. We need to make that and put it on a shirt. And we did, on a tie-dye swirl shirt.
And it's available at www.entheosstore.com.
It is available. And it also looks really sick, and it was a top seller.
Definitely a top seller. It's a sick shirt. I wear it.
And we did put clocks on the eyeballs.
Yes, we did.
So
we freaked it.
Yeah. So kind of a cool idea. That's kind of, that's honestly how I think of a lot of merch designs.
Yeah, you just see.
Steal them. No, it's not.
Oh my God.
I get inspired.
You're getting us a cease and desist right now.
They don't know.
From the eye poster guy.
I mean, to be fair, it's completely different.
No, it's way different.
Yeah.
See, that's you take inspiration.
Yeah.
You take influence, but you never copy.
Yeah, totally. I do that with music too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to part like that. But I don't think anybody can listen to our songs and say, oh, he copied this one part. I mean.
Yeah, totally.
It's just, and I used to actually do that when I was a kid. I would try to figure out how to play like band songs, but I couldn't figure it out, so I just write my own part that was kind of like it.
I kind of do that too. I'll go and learn a chord or something that I like from a song, and then I just fuck around with it.
Yeah. But mainly,
that's how you learn how to do new things.
Yeah, there you go. So it's okay to borrow stuff from people.
Of course.
It's not a big deal. Everything's already been invented.
Everything is copy.
Yeah. There's a quote about that somewhere, but
yeah, I believe it's everything is copy.
Okay.
Well, no, I think there are a few. There are a few quotes about it.
Okay, so the next day,
the quote is copy.
Are we done with Austria?
Yeah, Austria was a great show. I remember. Yeah. Oh, okay. The shower. I know that I touch on the foods and the showers, but the shower that day was fantastic because it was a huge room with a shower in it. Which some showers that you go into in Europe, it's like you're walking into a closet and that's the shower. And like if you walk out of the shower, then it's a room that everyone's in.
Yeah.
And
weird.
For me, it's like, I'm the only woman on a lot of these tours. I need like a room to change. Everyone wants their privacy. It's not even just me. We all like privacy. And I'm trying to like have a whole room where I can do my makeup. I can freak my thing for like a good hour and a half if I want to. So that day had a particularly good shower.
You know what?
I washed my clothes.
I'm not like that at all. And I don't remember any of the showers really.
Really?
I mean, I remember the ones that were really weird. Like the one in Prague that was like flooding everywhere. Like the whole floor was covered in water.
Prague.
We'll get there.
I'm trying to remember the shower,
But yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. It's a shower.
Yeah.
And a lot of days I just wouldn't even take a shower.
Wait, the one in Prague, I know we're skipping, but that actually is the one I was just referencing where you literally walk into a room. Okay, you go downstairs.
Yeah, it's like in the backstage.
Yeah, the door to the shower is just in the backstage. So you like are walking from a huge backstage room into a shower. And it was flooding underneath the door everywhere. Like all of my shit was wet after I got out of the shower. Because I take my backpack. You have to be very like on it with where all of your stuff is on tour and how you're storing it and where you're taking it at what time. So I know where every single item that I have on tour is, because I'm like, all right, this is what I take with me to the shower. This is what I take to here. This is where my stage clothes are. So my shower backpack was just a fucking wet mess after that.
Yep. So the next day we went all the way to Slovakia.
Whoa, that was amazing. We drank Turkish coffee. We bought a Turkish coffee pot, or two Turkish coffee cups, a Turkish coffee pot.
Yep.
And Turkish coffee that day. That has a lot of cardamom in it.
Imported it.
Yes.
And we also kind of just walked around. It's like, okay, so when we showed up there, that's when you really feel like I'm far from home.
Yeah.
I mean, it was different.
Yeah.
And there was a little convenience store. When I say little, I mean little. Like this is...
It was about as big as this podcast room.
Yeah, it was like really little. This would take the place of like Target, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was... I mean, they had everything there.
They really did, but you really had to look hard for it.
Yeah, it was loaded with stuff. And then it was also...
It was kind of like a hoarder's... Okay, imagine a bedroom that had hoarding levels of goods in it, but it was all like slightly organized.
It was organized, yeah.
It was all organized, but it was like... It felt like you were in a hoarder's house. Yeah. Like you had to walk around.
And the women running the shop were like tripped out when we walked in there. It was like, whoa, who are these people? Because they don't have a whole lot of tourism there.
No. But you and I went to an insanely good Mexican restaurant that day.
Yeah, we did.
It was like really good.
Brian discovered it.
He
was like, there's a really good Mexican place here.
Yeah, and we got like super good margaritas.
Yeah, and it was really, really nice.
Wow.
Now the show, the venue, people were up in there
smoking twigs.
Roasting twigs.
Yeah, it was cigarettes.
Yeah, straight up smoking.
So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to smoke weed at the soundboard. I don't know if that was legal to do in Slovakia. Weed is probably not legal.
Did you do that?
Yeah, at the soundboard. I'm going to cut this out of the YouTube.
Why?
I don't know. Can I say that I did that?
Who cares? What
yeah, so
for you?
I think me and another person were in there at the soundboard. Someone who was doing our sound. Oh, that was also the day because of the cigarettes. I was carrying around sticks of incense, just like throughout the venue, like with me.
Yeah.
Because see, one of the things that happens when cigarettes are allowed in a venue, our clothes, our backpacks, our hair, everything smells like cigarettes, and like who knows how long it will be before our clothes lose the cigarette smell. So I was just like carrying around that incense in hopes that would be what would bleed onto my backpack and clothes. It didn't work though, but I smelled good at the time. It was a good idea while it was happening.
It wasn't that bad. I bet 10 years ago it was probably a lot worse. A lot less people smoke than then.
Yeah.
But the venue was cool. It had like a really old world vibe.
Yeah. It did have an old world vibe.
And
it was super sick.
Yeah, and it was decorated kind of... I don't really know how to explain it, but it looked like a really old bar.
It also had columns throughout the entire venue. Yeah, it was super old school.
I actually took a picture of the bar that day just because it looked so cool and like old world. And then it was down a brick cobblestone alley.
Yes.
And in order for us to load, the bus had to actually park far from the venue. And they came with vans and loaded all the gear into the minivans and brought it back over there.
Yeah, and at night it was like a ghost town. I was honestly so surprised that there were that many metalheads there. There had to have been like 200-300 people there.
Yeah, it was a good show.
It was crazy.
And I believe one of the PA speakers was blown.
It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we were like, all right, well, we're just going to rip it.
It was just fun.
Yeah.
That was just, like you said, that was one of the days where I was like, okay, we are far from home right now.
Yeah.
But it was so cool. That is like those countries to me are some of the coolest to see in Europe, because there are a lot of places that are kind of similar to America, but definitely not Slovakia. Or was it Slovakia? Yeah, we went to Slovenia the last time.
Yeah. So next day, Budapest.
Oh my God. The catering lady.
Really nice. Made a bunch of food.
She caters like every show that comes through Budapest, and she makes cakes.
Yeah.
I think her name is the Catering Queen on Instagram. But
Shout out.
she makes like a special cake for every single show that she caters, and her catering is really delicious. That was super awesome. We had these backstages they were each
They're like little
a
trailers.
trailer.
We walked around. Budapest is a very beautiful city.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to see there. We walked up on this hill. There's a big Jesus statue.
Yeah.
We saw that.
And it overlooked the entire city.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
But yeah, that show, again, was a great show.
That was a really good show. I remember the lights specifically being really good at that show. The lighting director was really good. The LD, House LD.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really cool. Walking around the city that day was really what I remember the most. We walked around and got breakfast and got a drink and just kind of saw everything in the city. Such a beautiful place.
And then the next day, of course, was Prague, which was really, really fun. The venue was great. The Prague is one of the most beautiful city in the world.
Definitely one of, for sure.
Absolutely
it's
amazing.
It's super goth. It's super gothic.
Really it looks straight up like a level out of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's statues everywhere.
In real life. And Rob Brown, our guitar player, had never seen, he'd never been there.
Yeah, he was like...
He was mind blown by it.
He's like, I gotta get a picture of this.
Yeah, I mean, and Prague is also like a very easily accessible downtown to where we've played there before. So these past 2 times. So it's just easy to walk into the really cool like town area from where we play. Well, I guess last time we had to ride a train into town. But this time it was like 15-minute walk or something, and it's just there's what's the bridge, the touristy bridge that everyone goes over in Prague.
I don't know the name of it, but it's
super famous.
And so I looked that up and it was close enough for us to walk. So we walked around, saw everything.
Yeah, we saw, and then
Really
Malika lives in Prague. The vocalist, she was in Abnormality. She's now in Unfathomable Ruination, and she came to the show that night. It was cool to see her.
Very cool.
Prague's a sick city. I love that place.
Okay.
And then the shower that we talked about before.
And then, of course, the shower that was leaking everywhere. Or not leaking, it just wasn't really built for like 25 people to take a shower.
No.
It was like just water everywhere.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
Next day, Poland.
Oh, Poland.
I feel like we talked about Poland already for some reason.
We did, because we talked about how like the building, we went to shower in a building across the street. Or it was across just the little area.
Yeah.
And from the outside, the building looked pretty like, the area looked kind of run down, but then when you go inside of the building, it was completely like renovated and remodeled, and there was like a whole photo shoot of models happening on one of the floors, and then we went up to the hostel, and it was like one of the nicest hostels I've ever been in my life.
So they had a hostel for the band to go like take a shower in or hang out. I didn't go in.
We could take showers there.
Yeah, and then the venue, when we walked in, it looked like it only had half of a PA.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was only on one side, so we were all kind of like, how's that going to work? But it sounded fine.
The
it was
show
actually
was
a
amazing.
really good show. Like this day is actually more one of the days that I think about a lot on the tour.
We went to the mall that day.
Yep, and we went across the street. There was a gym, and it looked really old.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, man, I got to check this out. And it was like a legit old school, like Soviet era gym. There was a fucking wood burning stove in there. And it was so cool. They had all these old posters on the wall and stuff. And I didn't want to be too much of a tourist and like take a bunch of pictures, but I got to work out there, and the guy who ran it was really nice. And it was only $5 to get in. Like everything in Poland is really cheap. So I went in there and attempted to work out.
Yeah, the show was really
cool.
awesome. Then there was a dance party after the show, and we all went in and kind of hung out and danced until
really
bus
time.
call.
Yep.
Oh, someone almost lost their phone that night.
Someone did lose their phone.
So it ended up
crowd surfed him.
Yeah. So it ended up all of us like being on the floor, like looking for the phone.
Buzzkill.
And then it was found. I think it was Todd Stearns.
Yeah, it was a buzzkill.
And then someone turned it into the bar and found it.
Yeah.
So
that was also really fun.
Yeah, that dance party was so much fucking fun. And at the dance party, they had like this old school computer. I think that was the theme of it. It was like an 80s dance party or something.
Or it was like 90s. It was 90s.
Okay. And then they had an old school computer there.
It was running some like PC games from the 90s. And
yeah,
people were standing around playing it.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, that was a very cool day. I think about that day a lot, actually. Next day was Berlin.
Berlin.
Always a good time.
It's a good city.
Yep.
Never had a bad time in Berlin. We did try to go get Mustafa's, which is a super famous doner kebab spot. I think we also talked about this. But the line was, I don't know, 2 hours long.
Block. Yeah, I believe they said it was, I think someone in line behind us was like, it's going to be an hour and a half wait. And we're like, we don't have time for this.
Yeah.
But Chaney and I stayed at like when we first kind of got together, I did an Animals as Leaders tour, and then it ended, and Chaney flew over, and we stayed for a week. Mm-hmm. And we actually went to, was it a week or was it more than that?
We stayed for 2 weeks. We stayed in Berlin for a week.
Yeah, we stayed in Berlin for like, a week. And so we were like, let's go to Mustafa's, which is this Middle Eastern food that we went to a lot. It was right outside of the hostel.
Yeah, and they have donors. They have like super famous doner kebabs, and we were talking about it last week. It's like those, you'll see the meat. It's like shaved
they call it
meat.
a gyro here.
Yeah. Is it called?
A gyro, that's what they call it here.
I think it's a euro.
A euro or whatever.
Yeah. And so over there, Mustafa's is a super famous one. We couldn't get it this time.
A little too famous.
Got a little too famous for us. So we had to settle for one down the street. And I can confirm that Mustafa's, there's a reason it's the famous one.
It's really good.
It's way better.
It is really good. And then, once again, cool show. The guy who made our artwork, Elron Cantor, was there.
Yeah, it was great to meet him. Yeah, it was
cool.
super great to meet him. He's such a fantastic artist. I've been a fan of his well before he made our album art. So it was cool to meet him. The venue was super awesome, that Berlin venue. The show was awesome. And I remember that's the day that we realized that it's a little harder to like find things in Berlin because we needed tape.
That's right.
I feel like we
take for granted here in America.
We take for granted the convenience of things in America because at any given venue that I go to in America, I can pretty much find some tape around it. Like I can...
A store that sells tape.
Yeah, any kind of store. Maybe a Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, whatever. We can find tape.
If you like, here, ask me where can I get some tape right now?
Where can I get some tape, Navene?
I'd be like, okay, well, there's a gas station right up the street. They probably have tape. And if they don't, you can go a little bit past that, and there is a Dollar General. Mm-hmm. Now, past that is a CVS. And if they don't have it, then you can go. I mean, I could name 20 places.
Yeah.
Just that are within, they're not quite walking distance. You could walk to the gas station.
5-mile radius.
Yeah. Right? So we're in Berlin, and I'm like, we like need tape to finish taping up our merch on the wall. And it's a city. So I'm like, surely there's a store around here. And I asked the guy working the venue, hey, do you know where you can get some tape around here? And he's like, tape. No.
Tape.
I'm like, how is that possible?
Nowhere to get tape in this place.
Different culture. Different culture.
But Berlin, always a great day. Berlin was one of the days where it was advertised that we played like an hour after we actually played. There were still quite a few people there, though.
It was still a good show.
It was a really good show.
Then we had a day off, and we went to Sweden. We had a day off in Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
And oddly enough, we went to another Mexican place.
I know. Third Mexican restaurant of the tour. Why?
It was...
We just wanted some good old queso cheese dip, dude.
Actually, yeah. And then we had a day off there. It was kind of cold.
It was really cold.
We walked around Sweden a bit. It's pretty... I don't know how to explain it. It's very slow, like small.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was what city?
Gothenburg.
Gothenburg, right.
Yeah.
Oh, and so we had the day off. The next day, the venue we played, do you remember the lunch that they gave us? It was like a 5-star lunch.
Yeah, it was
like Michelin starred.
We couldn't believe the lunch.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like fish with potatoes and herbs and all this. I mean, it was plated nicely.
Yeah, it was the plating. It was like
shocking.
10 out of 10.
And then the show was cool. Now, if we're talking about learning how to play in front of a crowd who is not very animated, Sweden is a great place to go. Because they were pretty immobile.
I don't know. The next night in Sweden, they kind of went off.
Yeah, I know, but someone at that show, so that's the first time they've ever seen a Swedish mosh pit.
Really?
Like the guy who's from Sweden.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sweden was particularly freezing cold.
Yeah.
Like,
it was actually the next day in Stockholm, it was snowing. There was snow on the ground.
It was snowing, yeah. There were like several feet of snow.
Yeah.
The next day, we saw the dudes from Surreption. They came to the show.
That's right. They drove far to get there.
Yeah, they did. It was great to see them. What a good fucking band, Surreption.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Sweden, Stockholm. Another inconvenient thing, we were trying to find somewhere to do laundry. Couldn't do it. They don't have laundry there. They don't have laundromats. It's
no
not a thing.
laundromats.
We discovered. So, don't try to do laundry in Stockholm.
Yeah, they don't
it's not
do
a
that.
thing.
Both of those shows were cool, though. It was cool to finally see Sweden. I never had.
Yeah. Absolutely. Then we went and headed over to Denmark.
Stockholm particularly. I want to talk about that more. That was it was a straight up party at our merch booth.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. And we went to a mall that day as well. I know this is getting kind of boring. We go to malls all the time, but
yeah.
Went to a mall and then I saw like a super tattooed guy working at the restaurant that we were eating.
Yes.
And I was like, this guy looks kind of metal. And I was talking to him like, hey, do you like metal? And he was like, he told me yes. And then I told him about the show and he actually knew all the bands. He was a fan. He had like a Carnifex tattoo.
Yeah, he had a full blown, it was on his neck.
Yeah. And we were like, hey, we'll put you on the list. And he came to the show.
He was front row center when we played.
Yeah, cool guy.
Super cool guy, and we hung out with him.
He was really appreciative that we got him in.
Yeah, and there was a super sick pit at that show. It was
there was a pit, yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. You did it. You got the Swedish people to
there
move.
We go.
It's hard to do.
You live and you learn, baby.
Anything else that day? Yeah, we had 2 guys from Surreption were there. Got to hang out with them. Good time.
Yeah, that was fun.
They ordered 25 pizzas that day.
Oh, yeah. Like in the day for get-in food.
Yeah, because Miles was like, we need some pizzas. And something got lost in translation.
Miles, our tour manager.
Yeah, sorry. Something got lost in translation to where they thought he said each person needs a pizza. And so there was one person equals 1 pizza. And I was like, holy, oh my God. Yeah, that's a lot of pizza.
I don't even think I ate 1 piece of pizza that day.
I ate a lot of pizza. I can't agree with you there.
Yeah, I didn't eat any slices of za.
Yeah, it was a lot. And it was on the bus for a couple days.
Oh, that was the za that haunted us. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And Todd was eating the cheese off the top.
Yeah. I did that on a couple.
I mean, honestly, there was so much pizza that you could do that. But when I saw him do that, I was like, dude, you're bumming me out right now.
I do that all the time. I like eating the cheese off the top of the pizza.
I get it. It's a fine move, but I don't know. I think I would just not eat it if I wanted to do that. Because that's disrespect.
Well, sometimes there's nothing else to eat.
Yeah. And people don't want to eat gluten or whatever. Carbs.
Yeah. All right, next night. I feel like we're getting close to the end
we
of
are.
the
We
tour.
got 2 days left.
So about this time, I can also guarantee. Well, this was another thing about the Sweden shows is that I was so ready to go home. I was like, I only have 10 days at my house, and between this tour and the other
Yeah,
one,
I
let's
know.
get the shit going.
Yeah.
It was fun though. It's not that I don't have fun at the shows, but there is always that lingering thought in the back of your mind. And then there's the other thing that's coming up in Europe. You have to like get all of your merch together and get it ready to send back to Empiricon.
it's a
So
lot.
there's a lot leading up to like getting home.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll cover that. So the next show was in Denmark, and this was kind of on the outskirts. It was near the ocean,
Oh yeah.
and it was kind of a big hall. And this was like one of the bigger shows. I was pretty surprised.
It was packed.
It was what I would consider to be a concert.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people there.
Maybe
It
a
was
1,000?
Yeah, it was a really big show.
It was literally right next to the ocean as well. Like me and Robbie and Rob all walked across and went out and hung out on the wharf. It was super cool, but it was cold. But it was gorgeous.
It was. I was definitely happy with that show. It was fun. It was really good.
That was such a fun show, yeah.
But I didn't do anything that day. I just was at the venue. That's it.
Yeah, it was. We were kind of close to town, but honestly, the catering was great. The ocean was cool to look at. It was a really chilled out show, so there was no reason to leave.
Honestly, talking about these shows, I'm starting to feel nostalgic, even about this tour that just happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that was really cool. I want to do it again.
I mean, they're both really cool. Totally.
And then the last day, Germany, Hanover.
That was a lot of fun. Our friend Nick came to the show.
Yep.
We
We kind of partied, got drunk.
we did get a little drunk.
Yeah.
That's kind of, if you are of the drinking kind, then you usually get a little drunk on the last night of tour.
When it's
In Europe.
in Europe, it's the worst thing to do
That's
because
such a bad idea.
we were getting dropped off at the airport at like 7 a.m.
Right.
So we obviously got drunk. We shouldn't have done it, but we did.
And the thing about having to go to the airport at 7 a.m. is, like I said, like you have to have all of your 7 a.m. is when you're getting off the bus.
Yeah, get on.
So you have to have everything that you've gathered from the tour. I had to have
all your gear.
my Heelan coup I had to have packed up, like everything.
And you've been
packed.
living in this thing for 30 days.
Yes.
So,
You don't know where any of your shit is.
and then your merch has to be ready to go.
Taped up.
Taped up to go back.
Yep.
But, I mean, we didn't do that totally correctly. We
never do.
We had more stuff than could fit, and I literally just put a bunch of merch in a trash bag and just like threw it in the trailer. And I was like, they're gonna have to figure it out. I feel bad, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, and we packed up. We grabbed a bunch of like European vinyl variants to bring them back to the States, and it was it's just a whole ordeal when you get to the airport in Europe.
Yeah, we decided we were gonna just bite the bullet and carry back some vinyls to sell here, which all sold. They're all gone.
Yep, they're all gone.
Glad we should have took two.
I know.
Because the reason why we didn't is it's usually really expensive to fly your bags back home.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, we checked all these big bags and she wasn't charging me.
Right.
And then I was like, I got to also check this box of vinyl. And she's like, ooh, you're over now. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And it was only $40.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Thought it was going to cost a ton. Yeah. So we made it through the Dusseldorf airport pretty quickly. Our flight was at like 10:30 or something, or maybe it was a little later, but we left pretty quickly after we got to the airport. But Rob ended up getting stuck. I think Rob actually had one flight to London or somewhere in the UK, maybe Ireland. Anyway, the first flight was cool, but once he got to that airport, the rest of his flights got canceled.
he was stuck there.
So
for
yeah,
like
he
2
was
days
stuck.
or something crazy.
And we had to go on tour. So Brian and Rob flew home, and then they had to fly to Nashville to practice like 6 days later, 7 days later. So they had less time at home than we did. So Rob was stuck in the airport for 2 extra days. I think we had already gotten home, and Rob was like still there in the airport. We didn't know because we were on a flight.
Yeah.
So, that was, flying home is always a bummer. And then Navene and I both got sick.
Yeah.
From the flight.
Right? We did the whole tour, felt great. And then right when I got home, I'm like, I think I'm sick, man.
Yeah, so we had planned to do a podcast in between the two tours, but we were both so sick from the flight, of course. Didn't get sick on the entire tour. You know, another thing that started happening in Europe, which happened at the Austin show here, is I was getting like, from the air conditioning in the bus, I started getting bloody noses on stage at the beginning of tours. So I had to get like this Vicks breathing machine thing, and I didn't even think of it having a European plug on it, so I can't use it here. So I had to get that, but anyway, my point with that is that I was using that the entire tour, and it was helping me not get sick. But of course, the minute I get on a plane and come back home, I'm sick as hell for the week that we have off in between tours.
So that was a little bit of a bummer.
It was a bit of a bummer.
Having to go out again on tour quick. And it was just starting to get nice in Nashville weather.
It was.
Super killer. And
we had to film. So as soon as Rob and Brian got here, we filmed the Sirius XM performance that we did, the Liquid Metal performance. If any of you guys have seen that. If you haven't, you should go and watch it on YouTube. We shot it in our studio.
And it was fun.
It was awesome.
Really good time.
And then Navene stayed up one of the nights on the Whitechapel tour editing that video until like 5:00 in our hotel room. So
living the dream.
Just living the dream, man.
At the end of the day, that's what we were doing, is living the dream, you know?
That's true.
That's the shit that I want to do. That's what I want to be doing with my life.
Yeah, it's nice to be busy with something that you really care about.
Mm-hmm.
So can't complain about that.
That's my one tip to young people out there. Because it is my birthday today.
Tomorrow.
But when this podcast
comes out,
it'll be my birthday.
True.
And I'm 38. I'm old. Just kidding. But my tip would be to spend your time doing something that you like doing.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters.
True that.
So that's a little tip for you guys.
All right. Well, that concludes the European tour. All in all, great time.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic tour. It's, thank you to our friends in Archspire who took us around the world over the last year. And
I saw a funny meme about that. It was like, bands, we're going on a world tour. And then it was like the world tour. And it's the whole world. And then it's in red, the US and Europe.
Yeah. But for real, we'll talk about this more because, of course, Archspire was also on the Whitechapel tour that we just did. But those guys, they are like family to us. I love every single person in that band very much and their crew.
Yeah.
Well,
that was fun. I feel like we left out a lot. You want to go over the dates again?
Yeah, let's go back over it.
All right. So
this will be fun when we're 74 and we can just kind of go back and remember the stuff that, it's an audio journal of everything that happened on this tour.
It's actually really cool because on the last two European tours that we've done, I took a little journal.
Oh yeah, you had phone. Like this
little photo journal.
Right.
So I didn't do that this time, but we did the recap. So that's gonna have to do.
Well, ideally one day we can just do a couple of European podcasts. We were selling our merch on this tour. It made it it was a very busy tour. Like I said, I didn't even really stay up late most nights because I was trying to preserve my voice and because we were selling merch every day. And that's a whole other added thing to do.
It's a lot.
But man. I mean,
it's a lot.
It was so much fun. Like Navene just said, I feel very lucky every day that we get to work doing something that both of us have really worked towards since we were really, really young kids.
Yep.
I'm really proud of everything we've been able to do. And we wouldn't be able to do it without people who listen to our music and people who support us. So thank you guys so much for, listening to the podcast, listening to the band, buying our merch.
Yeah.
If you were there on the European tour, we'll get to the US tour, but thank you so much for coming out to a show. It's seriously amazing.
Supporting all of it.
Yeah.
How long have we been going for?
About an hour.
An hour already?
All right, let's hit some questions and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah. Let's just do like one or two. Unless you want to keep going, Chance.
We'll just do a couple. Yeah.
All right. First off, Lycan Lord asks, is there any chance that we'll ever see Navene play guitar live?
We've talked about that, dude. We talk about it a lot, actually. It's mainly a joke between me and Rob. If anything happens to like my foot or something like that, like if I break a foot or something, then we're gonna get a fill-in on drums and I'm gonna rip guitar. Or if one of the guys, can't make it, maybe we'll see what happens.
Navene's praying that
That's
one
my
day
dream.
he gets to.
Yeah, it's my dream.
Who knows? Never say never, but probably.
I'd say yeah, for sure. At some point, I'm gonna try it out.
Chill out.
Why can't I give it a try? I want to try it out, dude.
Well, because then we have to replace you on drums, which is
hard to do. But it would be sick.
I'll let you get away with saying that since your birthday is today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Amber asks, what are y'all's favorite concept albums?
Favorite concept albums? I mean, Soul Niger.
Is it a concept though?
Well, it is musically.
Yeah.
It all runs together. It is a concept. It's about aliens.
Really? Because I've skimmed through the lyrics.
Yeah,
and it seems like there's.
Well, it's about like
differing topics.
Well, you should skim through them again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Obviously.
I like Tommy, which is the original concept album by The Who. A lot of bands have put out good concept albums. I don't know.
I would probably have to go with Joe's Garage.
Oh yeah, Joe's Garage.
That was the first concept album I think I really got into. Frank Zappa, by the way, if you didn't know that.
Is Dark Side of the Moon a concept album?
I don't know. I really got into Pink Floyd that much.
I love that album.
But yeah, Joe's Garage is a cool story, and it's about a dystopian future when music is illegal, and a guy starts a band and gets arrested, and he goes to jail, and he forms a band in his head. It's pretty cool. So I like the concept, and I like the album a lot. That would probably be my.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess off the top of my head, it's probably Soul Niger, but maybe I'll think of something else for next week.
Yeah.
The thing is that I don't really resonate. Yeah, because I know, because I don't really also resonate with like the alien.
Yeah.
Part of it.
True that.
All right. Next up, Ricky Avocado asks, so I was listening to Dark Future and I noticed that the intro to White Noise has a very similar melody to the intro in Purgatory. Was this intentional?
Yeah. Yes.
There's another riff, actually. It's not the intro. Oh, wait. Black Static is first and then White Noise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar to the riff in Absolute Zero.
This person said in Purgatory.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know what he's talking about. But there is the same riff. The first riff.
There's literally the same riff in both of those songs.
The is the riff from White Noise. That's like it's the same riff.
Yeah.
So that is literally the same, but he's referencing
also,
a different
fun
riff.
fact, I did not want that riff to be in the song.
Yeah. And in hindsight, that riff's too hard to play.
Yeah, word on the street is that it's really hard to play.
But that's
why the next album that we make is going to be completely adult contemporary Christian rock music.
Active rock.
Yes. Power chord. Not a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe the Christian part, but the rest of it.
Yeah, the rest.
We'll see what happens.
We will see. You never know with us. We say one thing and then it comes out of a million other
no
things.
bad ideas. No bad ideas.
Yeah, that's our new thing.
Because on tour, Dean said that. We were like brainstorming something and he's like, all right, guys, no bad ideas.
No bad ideas.
And I'm like, that's a good
And now we've run with that.
Yeah, we've definitely run with that.
Yeah.
Because Channy and I get a lot of ideas.
And we don't think any of them are bad, apparently, because we put them all in motion.
But you're just, you're hashing stuff out. I think it is important to have a lot of ideas.
Oh, 100%.
It doesn't mean that you're going to do them all, but yeah, you got to get through the good ideas to get to the great one.
We actually said that last week when we were on a call with our management. We were like, no bad ideas
There was
here.
brainstorming.
Yeah, that's how now we're like, I think it's a really good tool to utilize.
I agree.
No bad ideas, all right?
No bad ideas.
Nothing's stupid here.
Mm-mm.
Just say anything you feel and we'll run with it. We'll start to figure out what actually is the dumb idea and we'll leave that one behind, but let's at least say it.
And it worked. We came up with a lot of good ideas on that
Yeah.
brainstorming session.
There we go. Bada bing.
Yep. Any more questions?
Yeah, I've got a good one to go out on.
Okay.
Rob McCambridge asks, tacos or burritos?
He's asked this before.
It's obviously burritos.
It's burritos.
It's obviously burritos.
Navene is Californian. Did you think that you were going to get any other answer from him?
Tacos are great. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, a burrito just has so much more going on.
Now I want a burrito. What about you, Navene?
I want one, but I'm not going to eat one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I'm trying to detox.
But anyway, we didn't even talk about the new studio. Check it out. It's looking good back here.
Yeah.
We painted the walls black.
And we got some new lighting, some up lights.
Living out our goth kid fantasies.
Yeah, it's a work in progress still.
It
but
is.
I think it's a step in a good direction.
Well, we talked about this on the pre-show. You guys can't see the rest of the room where it hasn't been finished yet.
Yeah, looks like absolute crap.
Yeah, we're trying to improve this podcast, make it better for you guys, make it better for...
A little easier on the eyes.
A little easier on the eyes. Yeah. Cooler for the content. Because, we're just content creating up in here, so...
Wow.
Content creator household.
We are a content creator household. Wow.
In some ways we are.
Well,
in some ways we are.
That's funny.
So, all right, Navene, do you have any, do you want to send him out with another piece of knowledge on your,
another word
for your birthday?
I feel like I should if you're putting me on the spot.
Then we'll close on that. We'll roll it out.
Yeah, I'd say do spend time doing what you love. That's the most important.
Navene's rules to live by.
And secondly, I think not accruing debt is pretty good too. Stay away from debt. Seriously, man. Just bite the bullet and pay for whatever.
Pay for that shit. It feels good to not have debt.
It doesn't feel as good when you can't immediately get all the stuff you want, but
you know what? It's something.
I mean, I'm being realistic. Obviously, there's certain things that we can't just outright buy, but if you want a freaking guitar, just save up and buy the guitar.
Yeah, don't get on American Musical and be like, yeah, I'm going to do 5 monthly payments of $649.
Because
I was looking at Sweetwater. They give you the ability to sometimes you can pay like $1,000 for the next 24 months and get like a really sick piece of gear.
Yeah.
But I mean, do we need to do that?
I wouldn't do it. You know what's crazy?
Money.
Actually, Chaney, we haven't had any. When we paid off those debts, that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So we haven't had any debt for like 5 years.
That is true.
So
it's helped. If any of you out there have like a creative endeavor that you're working toward, so it was very important for us to pay off the debt in our band because now all of the money that we make, rather than it having to go toward all of these like past due debts, we just reinvest the money back into the band.
Yeah.
So, making that money, that's what enables us. So we have, we can buy things for the podcast. There are lights and this paint that you see, that's all from reinvestment and not having that many debts. So it's really, really helped us. It's benefited us a lot. That's how we built our studio. And
there's lots of different ways to do that, to achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like a financial advisor, but I'd say look into it.
Yeah. Budgeting is what got us out of debt.
We should probably do that again, but once we were out of the debt, it was like, cool, we're good
time
now.
To reconfigure that.
Like, we did our budget. Now it's time to party.
Yeah. I did my budget.
Yeah.
All right. Those are Navene's 2 rules to live by right before his birthday.
I'd say those are pretty good for now.
They're really good.
I'll holler at you guys with some more.
All right. Sending love to all y'all out there. Next week, we'll start talking about the U.S. tour.
We're going to go through
Hope you enjoyed hearing about our Euro tour. Have a great week, you guys. Much love.
We will see you guys later.
Good vibes only.
Peace.